Welcome into our players-only meeting here on SportsSource.tv and our YouTube channel. This segment brought to you by Blue Smoke Cigar. Just a tremendous cigar club out in West Knoxville. You don't have to be a member to go in and buy their spectacular selection of cigars. They've actually got some seats there in the front where you can enjoy one. But if you do buy a membership, you get 15% off all the cigars you buy there. You get 10% off a discount at McScrooge's Wine and Liquor. You get a personal locker for your cigars and liquor or wine that you can keep there. Access to their HD TVs, their leather seating, card tables, golf simulators, all that with a membership to Blue Smoke Cigar. Very affordable. You just buy a yearly package, you're good to go. And folks, I can't recommend it highly enough. Get out there and see Mike Hicks and the folks at Blue Smoke Cigar. All right. Want to welcome in the panel for today, the players of the Players Only meeting. I guess it's not only, it's players only and then a moderator. VFL Sterling Hinton, VFL Will Overstreet, VFL Brian Randolph, VFL Daniel Hood and his crutches. Thanks for coming in here. I told this guy with his broken foot that he could take the day off, and he's like, no, man, I made a commitment to you, which I appreciate. I also think part of it was you wanted to talk about a win. So that's good. Sunshine Team. Yes. Yep. All right. Now, I want to do a little comparison here. Season's not over. We'll get back at this later. And you can't just do it solely by numbers either because there's different stuff involved. But just for kicks, we haven't done this yet. Let's take a look at the SEC's first-year coaches. On the left are the schools that lost coaches last year, and on the right are how those schools are doing this year. It's from best to worst in terms of overall record, and then SEC record is the tiebreaker in each year. So 2017, the best team that lost its coach was Mississippi State with Dan Mullen. They were 9-4. Texas A&M was 7-6. Florida was 4-7. They had a game that was rained out or hurricaned out. Arkansas was 4-8. Tennessee was 4-8. I put the asterisk by McElwain and Jones because there were interim coaches at the end of the year at both places. So technically, Jones was 4-6 when they canned him, I guess. Now, looking at this year, the best team is Florida. They've gone from 4-7 to 7-3 under Mullen, who had the best team over there on the other chart. 5-3 in the SEC. Texas A&M is next best. Sumlin went 7-6 with that bunch. Jimbo Fisher has them 6-4. Could finish 8-4, obviously. So could go to a bowl game, win 9. So he could be a lot better than Sumlin. A couple games better than Sumlin. Then you look at Mississippi State and their new coach. He's 6-4. That's, the odds of him winning his last 3 games, winning his last 2 and then getting to a bowl game and winning it, I don't know that I'd count on that, but it's certainly possible that he could match last year's number. Tennessee is up a game, up a win in terms of overall victories, up 2 wins in terms of SEC this year. So Jeremy Pruitt has the Vols improved. And Chad Morris, now they're worse at Arkansas, but this is where it's not just all about the numbers. That cat is trying to implement a spread passing kind of game, and he's got a roster that was built by Brett Bielema, which was built to be road graders. When you make those switches, it's basically the opposite of what Jeremy Pruitt's facing here. Pruitt wants to go road grader, and he's got the spread stuff, spread recruits. It's just the opposite at Arkansas, and they're just not doing as well this year. Could match last year's number, but again, that's unlikely. All right. Of those numbers, how do you think Pruitt has done compared to some of those other guys? If we rank these guys, Mullen seems to be the one that's done the best work. But I think Pruitt's up there as number 2 in that bunch, or certainly number 3. He's up there with Jimbo Fisher, I would think. Thoughts?
I would say 3. The fact that we've got some SEC wins, that's big for us. I don't remember the time when I played, we thought about we're going to get an SEC win, but lately that's what we've been thinking about, and we've gotten it. And we've got it against 2 ranked SEC opponents. They were in the top 25, top 10 in Auburn, I believe. So we've got some big wins. And so that's something to be proud about our program and showing some definitely upward movement.
You give them credit for the top 25 wins. I'll say this, though. Unlike that, the team you guys beat, that South Carolina team that was number 11 that you beat in Butch Jones' first year, that team wound up only losing 2 games all year and wound up 4th in the nation. My guess is Kentucky and Auburn won't be ranked when this season's over. Still, you beat them when they were ranked.
Absolutely.
That's a heck of a win. I'm not trying to take away. I'm just stating facts.
I look at it, I think you can make an argument that Pruitt is closer to the #1 spot in this case in looking at the coaches, just because I saw the talent that Florida had out in the field, and their talent is vastly better than our talent, especially in the front seven on either side of the ball. So, I mean, they're having to overcome a quarterback, which is Mullen's specialty at Florida. Yeah. But overall, if you look at the talent levels of what one group inherited compared to the other, listen, we were 0-8 in the SEC last year. At least Florida with that team, they had 2 SEC wins.
Three
SEC wins, excuse me. So I think this year right now, and especially if you look at it, if he comes out and gets to a bowl game, we said, I agreed with you, 6-6 for this team is celebration time, because this team's talent level is not 6-6 talent level.
And for me, there's no question that he's the best one on that list, because, don't forget, we had the Schiano fiasco, we had the AD fiasco and everything else, so he's coming into a program at that point that was up in flames. Everything else, you had discipline issues with players, that Coach Jones left us and everything else. I don't think any other one of those programs, I mean, when you look at A&M, okay, we lost someone and we get Fisher, okay, awesome. They didn't have any of the stuff that we're doing, so you're Pruitt, you got to come in, put out all those fires, get a new strength coach going, get all those guys disciplined again, set your entire organization back on track from where you just came off the worst season in school history.
To me, it's Mullen and Pruitt are the two that are up there. Florida had a lot of issues as well, and Florida has not been at the highest heights. They've stumbled like Tennessee, not to the depths of Tennessee, but they've stumbled for a while, and they've had some forest fires they've needed to put out as well. But it was not as bad as Tennessee. I think that's a very good point. Brian, where are you going with this?
I also got to agree with the panel. Pruitt is probably the most impressive coach up there. We didn't have the best year, but the situation we got brought into, Mullen and Fisher, they're already established coaches. They already had success, so they got an advantage on recruiting. And they also went to, in my opinion, easy places to recruit in Texas A&M and Florida. So,
and that's the other thing. You could make an argument. Pruitt's a first-time head coach. Yes. 2 other guys have had head coaching experience in big-time programs. So, I mean,
I was going to come back and say the fact that he's even in this conversation in his first year, good sign, very good sign.
Yeah, very good sign.
Now, I'll also say this, though. If I'd asked this same question last week after the Charlotte game, it wouldn't have been as rosy. And I had somebody today tell me, and somebody on Twitter said, this has been a good season. I don't care what happens the rest of the way. I'm going to be happy with the season. And I just thought, if they lose to Missouri and Vandy, you will not be happy with this, and you'll be tweeting me that you're angry about it. They said, nope, I'm going to be happy. Okay. I've seen this. I know how this plays out. No, I mean, and here's the thing. If they go 7-5, wow, spectacular job. If they go 5-7, that's what I predicted before the season, so I'm not going to be saying, wow, spectacular job. There are still 2 more games to determine this, but I just wanted to throw it out there. The fact that he's even in the mix right now, with what he inherited and the dumpster fire, and the fact that technically, as we said in the show, they could still win 8 games this year. The fact that you're in that, I'm taking the chance now is what I'm doing. We've ridden this roller coaster here many times, so I've learned to take the chance to be positive when you can. So right now, I'm going to praise them for saying this and praise them about the fact that you're even in the discussion, because I didn't anticipate you being in the discussion.
And I think we also have to say, pretty good job to Philip Fulmer, because when you look at some of the other candidates that Tennessee was looking at for head coaches in their first year, I mean, Chip Kelly, and they may not have been real possibilities, but fans wanted Chip Kelly, they wanted John Gruden. Both of those aren't really going too well right now.
That's true, but again, I'm not going to, just as if they went 0-12 this year, I wouldn't say, let's fire Jeremy Pruitt. Well, I'm also not going to say, I'm going to give a career grade to a guy who's 10 games
but
in.
You still, like, when you look, like, and I may be wrong with this, but every single team that you have that really makes that huge jump the second year from that, 6-6 to 8-9 win season, they've always had an upset that's come in that first year. When you look at Saban at Alabama, they've had close games that have been tough. And also go back to Kirby at Georgia. He took over Mark Richt's team that was an average 10 wins. And they only won 7 games, I think, that first year. And so if you're a great coach and you're going to make that step to that high level, you're going to win that 6 to 7 games that first year.
I had this conversation with someone yesterday, and they were talking about the fact that, well, you'd be better in your first year if you'd hired Mike Leach. If you'd gone ahead and hired Mike Leach, you'd have had a better record this year because he knows what he's doing. He would have had a better record this year. Well, shake your head. I think you would have had a better record this year by a game or two. I think a proven coach would have come in and done something with his system. I don't think he would have been a better choice long term.
No.
Now, I don't know if Pruitt's going to be good, but if I were a betting man, I would bet long term on Pruitt here before I bet long term on Mike Leach here. But first year, I'm not going to argue that Leach might have had a better year here in his first year, because I do think coaches are better coaches in year 2 and in year 3 and in year 4. If you've got a good one.
I don't
if you got a
disagree with
Dooley or
that.
Butch, it doesn't go that way.
But I just don't disagree. I don't agree that the philosophy of somebody like Mike Leach in this league matches up for very long, because this league,
for very long.
This league is a front 7 league, and it's not fancy dancy and all this kind of stuff. If you run into road graders, they're going to pound you into the ground.
I agree. I'm not pumping the gas on Mike
Did you
Leach.
see his little mustache he wore in the interview after their game yesterday?
No.
Yeah.
That's another
that
reason I
never
wouldn't want him here. You wouldn't want that guy and his weird Twitter stuff. But so I'm not. I'm just relaying a conversation I had yesterday, and that is, with a proven coach, you might have had a better year.
Understand.
But
Dan,
long term, I like this guy's opportunities.
Yeah, I do too.
And you say I'm saying I wouldn't give him a career grade yet, but I like his trajectory.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
We said Dan Mullins would probably have Dan Mullins against Florida, if he was here, probably comes up with that win, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the first-year coach.
I would still say that. Yeah.
Right. So I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But
But that doesn't mean he's going to be better long term, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So.
See, my thing I like about what's going on right now is, like I said last week, and I was very adamant about that. I would take an ugly win over a pretty loss any day. I'm tired of all these pretty losses. We got an ugly win last week, and maybe the team likes that feeling of winning. So what happened yesterday could be a product of the ugly win last week.
Do it 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
Two in a row.
just get a win. I mean, get the win.
Well, no, but if you get a win against Missouri, you've done it 2 times in a row.
Yeah, I would-
all right?
and I would
But
love
get a
that.
win then.
I think
But
this.
it gives them a different attitude. I mean, you seen a couple of players that performed yesterday to a level
Oh, yeah.
that we hadn't seen. And that comes from winning. I'm telling you right now, that is just as contagious as losing. I think it's more contagious than losing. People love that feeling. And when you get that winning feeling on the field with attitude and athletic ability, I like our chances. And we don't have guys that are scrubs, just haven't played. Now they're liking to win. I don't think we have
Even
any
Pruitt
scrubs.
says you've got some scrubs.
Well, in comparison to what he's used to seeing, though.
Yeah.
Having a whole defense full of first rounders.
But I mean,
I
there
get
were
it.
guys that it took 10 games into the season to show any attitude at all.
Okay.
That was their first game to
Right.
even light up. I mean, if
but-
they could continue that, we
It's
can
lit.
change our
If you-
minds.
It's
My
lit.
gosh,
Let's go.
if you finish the last 3 games that way,
Yeah,
It's
woo,
lit.
I've
That's
changed my
spectacular.
Come
mind.
on,
I
baby.
can change my opinion.
yeah, and
But
my
what I'm saying-
projection for next year goes up too.
Right,
Yeah.
but up to this point this year, that whole offensive line, that attitude was that stayed in the locker room.
Yeah.
It didn't get out of the locker room.
Well, I'm not debating the performance that's happened prior to the Charlotte game. What I'm saying is what happened after and during the Charlotte game. We got an opportunity where maybe our guys like that feeling of winning.
Let me throw out one last thing, then we got to get out of here. But one thing I liked, and we mentioned it during the show, I like the fact this guy's always coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take a look. There are guys who can win that aren't hands-on coaches. There are CEOs that can be fine, that can win. But if you look at the guys who tend to stay good, I mean, the real legends, and I'm not saying he's going to be a legend, but they seem to be the guys who keep a hand in it.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, that guy's still coaching. He's still on the field coaching like an assistant. Nick Saban, he still does the DBs at Alabama. He's still out there as an assistant. Not all these guys do that. Pruitt is out there as an assistant with every group, from what you hear from the people who can see practice. He's everywhere all the time. You watch it on the sidelines. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good
Batuli
sign.
missed a tackle yesterday for just a 3-yard gain, but it got him a first down. And I mean, he was over there in him from the start to the finish. Batuli was trying to figure out how to get back to the huddle faster.
See, and I love that more so that a lot of people love the let's kick a wipey board. That doesn't wow me. That constant communication with players wows me.
But what wows me about kicking the wipey board is, if you didn't notice, Coach Fred didn't move. he must have done that before. So as long as something, he didn't act any certain way. He didn't get out of character. So when people are consistent with their actions, they're being true to what they want to do,
And let me tell you,
everybody does it different.
He was coaching his offensive coordinator.
That's right.
When they almost threw that pick at the beginning of the half.
little flare
And he
thing
told
to
him,
the
"You
side."
better not be throwing that play again." I can tell you right there.
What were you
It's
saying?
consistent. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all-
consistent.
Sterling was saying, if you're consistent with it, a micromanaging coach doesn't bother me too much. As a player, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's very effective though. I can't.
Just treat me
Yeah,
the same. If
just
I make a
treat
good
everyone the
play, say I made a good play. If I made a bad play, say I made a bad play. But don't do this mind game stuff
Yeah.
where I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just
I like
be who you're
Be
going to be.
real.
And if you're real, we like it.
Exactly.
Which I think for, it's all good now. I think the tell's going to be this week because you started the season, and just to pick one category, you gave up 12, I think it was 12.3 yards per attempt to West Virginia, and you've not done that since the start of the season. You got a really good quarterback coming in.
Oh, yeah, you haven't
And
faced a, this is a test.
And you've constantly went down, even Tua. Tua was around, I think it was 9.8, 10.2 yards per attempt, which he probably could have got more.
Yeah.
But, this one,
If he hadn't left it out,
I mean,
early
if you
third
look
quarter.
at the stock chart of their yards per attempt, you
Yeah.
see it going down. I think it goes back to him coaching. Let's see if they can continue that momentum against Missouri, and then I think this conversation will be even better next week.
And I think that's the trick.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this team has been spotty. It's had some good moments where you go, oh, they've turned a corner. And then the next week, they turn it back. So they've been circling the block for most of the year.
Yeah,
They're
the
turning
sunshine
corners.
and rain cloud sides get evened out.
That's
so,
right.
And it's pretty easy on a sunshine day, like we said. Easy. There's more than 3 to select. On a rain cloud day, there's a lot more than 3 to select
yeah.
that we can pick out, and it ain't very hard.
Yeah.
So that's the struggle. Can you find the game where you put it together a little bit more and consistently, and it's not they're horrible, they're good.
Big week this week. I mean,
Awesome.
it's a
Yeah,
tough
big week.
challenge against Missouri, but it's big in terms of putting 2 games back to back. That's the next step. Can they do it? Sterling Hinton, Will Overstreet, Brian Randolph, Daniel Hood, thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, folks. We will see you Saturday at 10:30 a.m. on Fox 43 for the Sports Source kickoff. We will see you next Sunday at 11 a.m. on WATE 6 for the Sports Source. See you then.